At 4 o'clock sharp, there was a knock on the door. I gathered my courage and opened it to find Megan standing there. Megan had come to ask me for another chance at reconciliation, not in this lifetime, bitch, to manipulate me into agreeing to cheat on me with vile lies to destroy our family. Her lover's already crawled away with a broken nose and a pending divorce. Mary, too, is long gone. Even though she completely blew my mind in those 2 days after the confrontation at the restaurant, I threw that lecherous woman out on the street after hearing how she had an abortion, just killing our child so it wouldn't interfere with her sleeping with some asshole soccer player 9 years ago. I knew she was a cheating harlot before, but with this horrible confession our friendship was over. I laughed in her face as she begged me to forgive Megan. Sluts are like animals, always huddled together to protect each other. "Come in, Megan," I said coldly to my soon-to-be ex-wife. She walked into the house, nervous and unsure of herself. She didn't look well. It was obvious she didn't sleep much and cried often. Her eyes were red and her hair, though brushed, was dull and uncapped. What I'd learned about her deception and how she and her fucking friend Sylvia had set me up, as well as how she'd been served divorce papers in a restaurant, after which I'd left in the arms of her old rival, had shaken her to the core. She finally realized that the pain she was going through was the same pain she put me through. "Please, don't do this, Jack. Stop the divorce," she begged. "If you give me a chance, I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." It was hard to believe I'd ever loved that cruel and selfish bastard. A woman who conspired with her bitch friend to drug and rape me, all to blackmail me into becoming a cuckold. She hurt me so bad it was like she ripped my heart out. "If you want any forgiveness, I want to know everything about this case, and don't you dare lie to me if you do." "We're done," I demanded when she sat down. "Tell me what the hell you were thinking when you made your plans with Sylvia to humiliate and destroy me." Megan stiffened, agony in her eyes. Tears ran from her eyes as she spoke in a broken voice. "Believe me, Jack, I only love you. I've never stopped loving you. I know it's hard for you to believe, but it's true nonetheless. It had nothing to do with you as a father, husband, or lover. It was just sex. If I could, I'd call the whole thing off, but I can't. I screwed up, Jack, but it wasn't what it looked like. I never meant to humiliate you." Blah, blah, blah again with the fucking cheating cliches. "It's nothing new." It was exactly what I said, but I want to hear your point of view, I replied, knowing this conversation was being recorded. She told the whole sordid story, confessing that she and Sylvia had planned the whole thing in advance and drugged me to set me up for blackmail, which she and Sylvia had carried out despite the pain I'd endured. She admitted that the thought had crossed her mind that I couldn't handle the pain and might do something to myself, but still, even that thought didn't make her give up the plan. She was all caught up in this crazy fantasy of trying Steve, whom Sylvia and the other women at the club had praised so much. She talked about everything in such detail. It was like she was confessing. Then I asked the question I was most concerned about. "Why in our house, Megan? Why in our marital bed? Did you hate me so much and want to punish and humiliate me? Why rub my nose in it with your cheating? You knew perfectly well I wasn't cheating on you. You could have gone to a motel and not humiliated me." The more and more vehemently I questioned, the more Megan tilted her head to her slumped shoulders. She was a long pause, and finally she whispered in a way I could barely hear. "It's Steve." "What? Speak up." "Steve demanded it," she shouted. "As soon as he found out about my plan with Sylvia, he demanded that it all take place in our marital bed, and that you be around to see and hear everything. He repeated this over and over again, and said he would take part in it either this way or no way." At that moment I was so caught up in the anticipation that I didn't dare to object. "And you say, my faithful wife, that you didn't mean to humiliate me? What do you call that but humiliation? How could you? Steve is nobody to me. He didn't swear to me at the altar to leave everyone else behind. But you're my wife, the mother of my children. How could you let this happen? She was silent, staring at the floor, and I realized I didn't need to know anything more. I had gotten what I wanted. I stood up abruptly, grabbed the tape recorder off the shelf, and walked out, leaving Megan staring at me with her mouth open in surprise and not knowing what was going on. I drove straight to the police station and announced to Sergeant Burke on duty that I wanted to report a crime. He was already aware of everything, as he had already compiled a report of Megan's lover, Steve Adams, attacking me in my attempt to defend myself against him, resulting in his nose being slightly broken. He immediately called the on-duty arrest team. Megan was arrested at my house and taken to the police station in a police cruiser. With her taped confession, it took the police less than an hour to break Megan, who burst into tears and confessed what she and Sylvia had done to me, including putting a drug in my drinks. The drug was provided by Sylvia, as one of her ex-boyfriends was a dealer, and she had a small supply left over after he dumped her. After that, the divorce was relatively easy considering the evil bitch and her conniving best friend ended up in jail. A sympathetic judge destroyed Megan, sending her and Sylvia to prison for 3 years for blackmail and drug distribution, giving me full custody of the children and the family assets to support them. 6 months later, Steve Adams was attacked. Some unknown guy in a dark tracksuit and a baseball cap pulled over his eyes despite the time of night stopped him in the parking lot after leaving the club. And for some reason, he didn't take his money or watch, but knocked him down with a punch to the face and hit him hard in his nuts several times with an iron-tipped boot. Now, rumor has it, Bottom Steve can no longer look at the stars, only at the floor. But who cares? There were so many cheating husbands that the police never could find out which one was the bandit, and they probably didn't try very hard. Sergeant Burke made his report, and the case was closed. Well, life goes on. Figure it out. The kids missed their mother for a while, but they loved their new stepmother, and soon forgot all about Megan. All my friends were very surprised when I started dating my children's 18-year-old nanny, but Kelly turned into a beautiful young woman and secretly fell in love with me while caring for my beautiful children. We were married in a modest ceremony, a year after my divorce from Megan was finalized. Throughout our married life, she never gave me any cause for jealousy, and I returned the favor. 30 years and 2 more children later, we are still happily married. Thankfully, Kelly was not the cheating woman that Mary and Megan turned out to be.